Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really jumping into some powerful source material, Psalm 44. Not one people always turn to, but it's incredibly relevant, surprisingly so, for today.
Mm.
Our goal here is to unpack its message, which is quite raw, actually, about faith, especially when you're going through tough times, and maybe see how it can strengthen, your own trust and relationship with God.
It's a fascinating one because, unlike many psalms, it's not really about celebration. Scholars often call it a community lament.
The lament, right.
Yeah, it's basically a whole nation crying out. They're confused, they're suffering, but underneath it all, there's still this bedrock of trust. It's quite unique in how it explores faith during hardship.
Exactly. So let's try and hear that voice of ancient Israel. It starts off looking back, doesn't it? They say, "We have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days."
Right, they're remembering the stories, the big victories, how God acted powerfully in the past, drove out other nations, and established them.
But here's the really critical bit, I think, from verse 3. "For they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, but thy right hand and thine arm, because thou hadst to favor unto them."
And that's key. They knew their history wasn't about their own power. It was God's doing, God's favor.
Which makes the shift so
Wow.
jarring.
Oh, absolutely. Because suddenly it flips to their present reality. They cry out, "But thou hast cast off and put us to shame, and goest not forth with our armies." I mean, can you imagine feeling that? Utter abandonment, public failure?
Yeah, it's brutal. They
Yeah.
say God has given them up like sheep appointed for meat, scattered them, made them a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision.
It's this complete reversal from that glorious past they just remembered. It feels like a deep betrayal. You can almost feel the sting of it just reading the words.
And yet, and this is what I find so powerful, amidst all this pain and honestly this almost accusatory tone, they declare, "All this has come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee, neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant." It's like they're saying, we've held up our end. Why is this happening?
It's incredibly bold, isn't it? And then that line, "Yea, for thy sake are we killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter." They're claiming their suffering isn't punishment for sin, but somehow for God.
So how can they be so blunt with God? It leads to that desperate plea near the end.
That's right. "Awake, why sleepest thou, O Lord? Arise, cast us not off forever. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and forgettest our affliction and our oppression?" It's not some polite, carefully worded prayer.
No.
It's raw, it's urgent, it's demanding attention. It's the sound of someone who is hurting deeply, but somehow still believes God is there to hear them, even if he seems silent.
Okay, so let's bridge this. This ancient cry, this complex mix of pain and trust. How does this wisdom speak into our lives today, especially for building that trust, that relationship? Let's start with that remembering piece. We have heard with our ears.
Well, that initial act of remembering, it's more than just looking back fondly. It's like building a memory muscle for faithfulness. When you actively recall times things worked out, maybe unexpectedly.
Yeah, those lucky breaks or moments of grace.
Exactly. Your own moments or stories you've heard. It's not just nostalgia. It's like gathering evidence. It trains your brain to see patterns of resilience, of support, even when things feel chaotic now. It builds this deeper, almost gut-level trust in God's character over time.
And that other point, verse 3 again. "Not by their own sword, but thy right hand." That really pushes against our modern focus on self-making, doesn't it?
It really does. It's this core acknowledgement that success, lasting success anyway, isn't just about us and our effort. And here's the interesting part. Humility isn't passive weakness here.
Right.
It's almost an active ingredient for resilience. When
Yeah.
you recognize that, yeah, you worked hard, but maybe there was also grace or favor or just good timing involved in your successes. You're actually building a foundation of trust for when your own efforts aren't enough. If everything depends on your hustle, failure is devastating. But if you see a bigger picture, divine help perhaps, then even setbacks don't feel like just personal failure. It deepens that reliance on God, both when things are good and when they're tough.
That makes sense. Then there's the raw pain. "Thou hast cast off, put us to shame," a byword. It's uncomfortable, but it's so honest. What's the takeaway for us there?
Well, the takeaway is that honesty, even painful honesty, has a place in faith. Ancient Israelite worship made room for real grief, real questions, even anger directed at God.
So it's okay to not have it all together.
Absolutely. Spiritual maturity isn't about pretending everything's okay. It includes that raw honesty, asking why, God? When life feels unfair isn't a lack of faith. It's actually part of the journey. It makes the relationship more real, more authentic, because you're bringing your whole self, struggles and all.
And what about that idea, for thy sake are we killed? The idea that suffering isn't always punishment, that's a big one.
It is huge because it directly counters that thought we often have. What did I do to deserve this? Psalm 44 shows people wrestling with suffering they don't think they caused.
Right, they explicitly say they haven't been unfaithful.
Exactly. So it gives you permission, in a way, to hold faith and hardship together even when there are no easy answers. You don't have to understand the why to maintain trust. That's crucial for a resilient faith when life just doesn't make sense.
Okay, and finally that last plea. Arise for our help and redeem us for thy mercy's sake.
Not for our sake, but for your mercy's sake.
Yes, that's the clincher, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
a cry to a God they still believe is merciful, despite all evidence to the contrary in their current experience.
So the lesson is,
Keep asking, keep hoping, but base your hope, your appeal, on God's character. His mercy, not on your own merits or understanding. Even when you feel completely lost, saying, God, I know you are merciful, please act. That itself reinforces the relationship. It shifts the focus from your circumstances to God's unchanging nature. It's about persistent hope. Wow. So we've walked through this incredibly raw, honest psalm, Psalm 34. It's this cry from people feeling abandoned, yet somehow holding on, remembering the past, lamenting the present, being brutally honest, and ultimately still believing their cries are heard, even in the silence.
And notice the song doesn't end with a neat little bow. There's no sudden resolution within the text itself. It hangs there.
Yeah, it does.
And that's powerful, too. It teaches us that sometimes faith is just hanging on in the middle of the pain without answers, appealing to God's mercy like they do in that final verse. Arise for our help and redeem us for thy mercy's sake. That's a prayer that still speaks volumes today.
It absolutely does. So as you think about the honesty and the hope that are woven together in Psalm 44, maybe the question to reflect on is this. How will you apply this understanding in your life, especially when it comes to strengthening your own trust, your own relationship with God, particularly when things get tough?